Welcome to the Wellness Made Easy podcast. Hey, I'm Larry Logsdon, and today I'm joined by Dr. Bob Martin, host of the largest weekend syndicated health talk show in America, reaching over 500 radio stations nationwide. The number one listened to health talk show in the U.S. And our subject today has to do with, did you know that nearly half of Americans have high blood pressure or hypertension? In this episode today, we'll uncover natural, safe ways to manage your blood pressure and live healthier and happier lives. You won't want to miss this insightful discussion. Enjoy the show.
All right, we're going to turn our attention now to what everybody knows to be the silent killer that we hear about related to health. And of course, the silent killer is also known as high blood pressure or hypertension. Yes, it continues to ravage the health of millions of Americans, leaving them at risk of unwanted health concerns such as heart disease, strokes, and other problems, especially disability. Stunning as it may sound to you, nearly half of Americans ages 20 and above, or more than 122 million people, have high blood pressure or pre-hypertension. That according to a 2023 report from the American Heart Association. And even if your numbers are normal right now, they are likely to increase as you age. More than 75% of Americans aged 65 years of age and older have high blood pressure, whether they know it or not. And the medical system here in the U.S. offers treatment and advice for high blood pressure, primarily centered on the management of high blood pressure, hypertension, the management via pharmaceutical drugs. Now, of course, drugs do treat high blood pressure and have and will continue to do so. And some people do benefit from them, of course. However, what if there were ways to help your blood pressure drug-free? What if there were lifestyles you could employ to reduce your blood pressure safely and naturally? Many Americans are seeking safe and effective options to help lower their blood pressure without having to take or use risky pharmaceutical drugs that carry a long list of potential adverse side effects. Therefore, we have recruited a special guest to join us today to talk about this very topic. His name is Larry Logsdon. Larry is a functional food researcher and chemist specializing in the medicinal and health-giving properties of exotic fruits. Larry founded Tahiti Trader in 1998. Tahiti Trader manufactures and distributes noni juices throughout the U.S. and internationally. And with that, let us welcome our special guest, Larry Logsdon, to the Dr. Bob Martin Show. Good day to you, Larry.
Oh, good morning, Dr. Bob. How are you today?
Doing well. Thank you for carving out some time for us. This is a very important time. I think this time of the year, because we're leading into the holiday season and people are a little stressed, even though they shouldn't be. They are, and things happen, and they've got a lot of obligation. I think this is the time of year where people get caught off guard with issues like blood pressure and the potential adverse side effects of it. So let's begin with that, Larry. That's what we're going to try to do to help our listeners today, get them focusing on their blood pressure and what they can do to help themselves safely and naturally be their own best doctors most of the time. Why is it important first, Larry, to maintain healthy blood pressure?
Well, the main reason is so that our body doesn't get damaged, such as your eyes, your kidneys, your brain, cardiovascular system, and it goes on and on and on. High blood pressure is the silent killer for a reason. It really does kill.
Without a doubt, it catches people off guard because there's not like a thermostat or a gauge on your wrist that says, okay, your blood pressure is in a dangerous zone. You best chill out. You best back off a little bit or you're going to blow a cork in your brain or your blood vessels somewhere. We don't have that. And many people, their first event with high blood pressure, be it a stroke or a heart attack, will be the last event. And that's a tragedy in and of itself. And we want to help stop that. That's why we asked you to be on the show today, to raise the awareness and the consciousness of blood pressure and what we can do about it, because it can be helped safely and naturally. Larry, what is considered for those people, and most people know this, but let's remind them, what is considered to be normal blood pressure? Somebody to look when they go to their doctor's office, or maybe they're in the drugstore getting their blood pressure checked. What are they to look for?
Well, doctor, the magic numbers seem to be 120 over 80 as like the magic spot to try and target.
Mm-hmm. And anything lower than that would be just fine too. 110 over 75 or 70. I mean, yes, blood pressure can get too low, and then you can have issues with that. But most people don't have it unless they've got some unusual situation, or they're an elite athlete, or they meditate deeply enough. But that's usually having a lowered blood pressure usually helps them to last longer, live longer, provided that it's not excessively low. Larry, please discuss, Larry, what types of lifestyle risks contribute to having high blood pressure?
I think the number one is lack of physical activity, doctor. I mean, people are just sitting on their backsides watching the boob tube and not being active, sitting around eating salty foods, which is throwing off the balance of potassium to sodium, which you know how badly that is. And that contributes to obesity, which is another really bad place to be. And they sit around and pop beers and other sorts of things, alcoholic beverages, and go outside and smoke cigarettes and other things that are bad. And these are it's a prescription for death, folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, without a doubt. I tell people, please don't wound yourself with your fork and spoon. Make good decisions on what you put in that pie hole. Make sure you understand that there needs to be foods that have good high nutrient value. And yeah, it's not going to hurt every once in a while to have some junk food, maybe some processed foods or highly processed foods. The problem, though, Larry, is that we live in a society today that's mostly ultra processed foods that have been devalued and are devoid of those important nutrients you just mentioned that keep the body in proper balance. Because once we are assaulted with these types of foods that don't carry the nutrition our bodies need, it will eventually cause imbalance, and the body has to take steps to try to correct that. And that's where the blood pressure starts to rise. It's sort of like an idiot light that goes off inside, as I see it, Larry, wherein the body tries to attempt to correct it. Unfortunately, it goes beyond that point of correction, and it can damage, like you said, the eyes, the kidneys, the blood vessels, before we even know what the heck is going on. All right, I want to have you hold that thought right there, Larry. We're going to take a break and come back. I've got a lot of questions to ask you, and I want to have people be prepared, because prior to the interview, Larry provided for me to play to you a audio clip of a lady who has been able to orchestrate a safe and effective natural way to contain and control, even though she was on pharmaceutical drugs to begin with. The story is amazing, and you must hear this. And I think it's possible for most people to do this. So stand by for that. That's coming up during our interview with Larry Logsdon on the topic of blood pressure. All right, back to our special guest, Larry Logsdon, who is a functional food research scientist with expertise in the medicinal properties of exotic fruits. We're talking about high blood pressure, hypertension. Way too many Americans have it. And yet it is a very easy, in my opinion, because I proved it within my own practice of over 20 some years. You can actually take people who have high blood pressure, change up their lifestyle, and lower their blood pressure drug-free. Yes, it takes time, it takes some effort, but it can happen. Now, there are some patients that have recalcitrant blood pressure. They don't respond well to even the greatest of measures that they try, and they may require medication. And of course, that can be life-saving. We're not telling anybody here to stop their blood pressure medication or discontinue it without your doctor's guidance or without a pharmacist's guidance. We're simply saying to you that this is a problem that many people can improve by modifying what they're doing in their lifestyle. And Larry is bringing it today, helping us understand it. All right, Larry, most people know that high blood pressure can cause heart attacks and strokes, but what other parts of the human body suffer when somebody's blood pressure is too high too long?
That's a long list, Dr. Bob. First of all, most people don't know it. I mean, there are people around who say, "Oh, I'm too young to worry about high blood pressure. Don't worry about that. We're good." And they power down 2 or 3 sodas a day, have a few bags of chips, and eat the fast food when they drive through. These are the people that are really having the problems. It's going to nail you, folks. It's going to get you in a heart attack. It's going to be a stroke. You're going to find yourself with diabetes that come from all these factors that you're not paying attention to. Not to mention, you're going to have kidney disease. You'll find that your eyes just don't focus. You can't figure out why. You've got bloodshot eyes. The list goes on and on and on. The important thing to know is that this is the most important thing you can do to improve your health, and it's cheap.
Mm-hmm. And Larry, what about stress? How does stress play a role in a person's susceptibility to high blood pressure or hypertension?
Well, stress is a positive motivation force or constraining force that holds you back. And it puts a lot of pressure on arteries and blood vessels by constricting them. So if you already have built up, plaque in there, you're going to find that that's not good because the plaque can break free. And that it can travel up to places like to the brain or the heart, other organs, and damage it big time, and if not, put you out forever.
All right. And are you, Larry, in favor of everyone monitoring their own blood pressure at home? Because we hear stories about people going into their doctor's offices, and the minute they hit that waiting room and they smell that alcohol in the air, and they have those fears come back that they had in childhood as that dripping needle came near their rump, and their blood pressure goes through the moon, and suddenly they check their blood pressure and it's high, and so the doctor says, "Oh, we got blood pressure. We better put you on a drug today." And they're on it for the rest of their life just with one experience. We call it the white coat syndrome. Do you believe, or do you favor everyone monitoring their blood pressure in an environment that they're not stressed, so they don't get a false positive and end up with blood pressure drugs for the rest of their lives?
Dr. Bob, the answer to that is absolutely, folks. This is something you really want to do at home. Do it when you first rise in the morning, before you have coffee or tea or anything, really, and just sit down and put the cup on and get the readings, and you're going to say, "Oh, that's not so bad." It isn't bad because you're in an ideal situation. When you go into the doctor's office, stress sets in, and it is not a good picture. And the doctor might take advantage of you.
Yeah, well, not really. I mean, the doctor, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They really are trained to jump on that to try to manage it as quickly as possible. I know that. I'm a big fan of. I think everybody needs to have a blood pressure unit in their home. I really do, because it can save lives, and they're cheap, they're inexpensive, they're easy to operate, and that way, if somebody sees something happening, they can report it to the doctor, or they can make some changes in their lifestyle, chill out a little bit, stop eating poorly, smoking cigarettes, maybe get a little bit of exercise, do what it takes to let the body right itself or to better manage whatever is going wrong that's wobbly. Now, Larry, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the fact that you've been helping people improve their health, including their blood pressure, by providing Tahiti juice. We're going to try to explain, I want you to explain to our audience how drinking an exotic fruit juice such as noni, and many people may not know what it is, so I'm going to ask you to explain that and how that may help the management of a problem we call hypertension. Our special guest is Larry Logsdon, who's a functional food research chemist with expertise in medicinal properties of exotic fruits, including the one that I want him to tell our audience about right now, and that is noni juice. Larry, you've been helping people improve their health, including blood pressure, by providing Tahiti Trader Noni Juice for years. Please explain how noni juice has been able to help so many people. And then I want to play for our audience an audio clip that you provided prior to the show of a fascinating testimonial of a woman who had high blood pressure and used Tahiti Trader Noni Juice in order to get it under control, which is an amazing story, which we'll hear shortly. But can you tell people what Noni Juice is? I mean, they know what apple juice is and orange juice and grape juice, but they probably don't know what Noni Juice is unless they've actually used it in the past.
You're right, Dr. Bob. Noni juice comes from a fruit that we get in the South Pacific Islands of Tahiti. And the noni fruit is like a prickly pear-looking thing that's actually in the coffee family, Frankfurter family. Now, this stuff here, it's got more than 140 unique compounds not found in any other fruit on Earth, folks. And one of the things that happens when you drink noni juice is according to in vitro tests now, the concentrations of noni juice inhibit HCE enzyme and the AT receptors. Now, that's what is the high blood pressure comes from. That is it. Noni does this. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. And what's wonderful about it is that, according to research, noni juice also helps protect against tobacco smoke-induced DNA damage, which leads to high blood pressure. So this is
Wow. All right. Now, Larry, thank you for that. I did not realize that. You sent a testimonial interview you conducted with a listener of this radio show, apparently, who had amazing improved blood pressure as a result of consuming Tahiti Trader Noni Juice. And what I would like to do right now, if my producer will do so, is to play the audio clip. And when we finish, I would like to discuss it. So let's go with that right now, please, Phil.
Good morning. This is Larry.
Hi, Larry. This is Elaine. When I started taking the Noni Juice, I did not know, I'm a health addict. So I was running across, different things, and I came across that, and I thought, wow, this sounds interesting. So I bought it. Now I'll take it forever. So I hope they continue making this because I have not had to take my blood pressure Enapral ever since I bought it. I went through one bottle, and because I have high blood pressure, I take my blood pressure every day, sometimes 2-3 times, especially when I first started this because I couldn't believe my blood pressure was going down. But I just didn't feel correct that I was still taking the blood pressure and the Noni juice. So I stopped the blood pressure meds and then took my blood pressure like 4 or 5 times a day. And it was low. It's low now. So I just continue on using it. I started out with an ounce a day, went through one bottle, and that's when I started noticing my blood pressure dropping. So I don't take the meds anymore, which I like. I'm a more natural type of person, and I'm older. So I went ahead and I bought 3 more bottles. And so I have it here, and I'm going on, let me see, I've already taken 2 bottles, and I'm starting on my 3rd. And it keeps my blood pressure lower than it's ever been. Like I listen to KTAR a lot.
Dr. Bob Martin and I have an interview coming up soon. Yeah.
It's on Sunday, and I listen to him because, I really believe in all the natural things. So it's 125 and 78 and then 88 for pulse.
Oh, that sounds wonderful, Elaine. I'm so happy that your blood pressure is where you want it now. That's awesome numbers.
So I'm a happy person, and I will continue taking that Noni juice.
Okay, there's you listening to Elaine, who's a very satisfied, happy customer of Tahiti Trader Noni Juice. Now, we're not suggesting that anybody listening to this stop their high blood pressure medicine. You need to do it under control with your doctor's advice. supervision or your pharmacist supervision. She happened to be a complete winner on helping her blood pressure by taking the Tahiti Trader Noni Juice. You can find it, by the way, at finer health food stores nationwide, including Sprouts and many others. Or you can call the company after this interview for more information on Tahiti Trader Noni Juice. Their company, the phone number is 800-842-5309, 800-842-5309, or Tahiti.com. We're going to come back with our finishing moments with Larry Logsdon. Stay with us. I'm Dr. Bob Martin. All right, Larry, we've just got a few moments left in the show, lightning round time. So I have to ask you this. Are there any known adverse side effects of drinking noni juice?
Not one, not even one. It's an amazing thing, folks. You're going to love drinking noni juice. You're going to love the way you feel.
I have to correct that. I'm going to have to correct that, Larry, because there's going to be an adverse effect on the pharmaceutical companies if people pick up on this, because if they have happened what happened to that lovely lady that you brought in the audio clip, they're going to be hurting for certain.
Well, she's 78 years old, folks, and she brought her blood pressure under control, did very naturally. You can too. Yeah, very possible. Amazing.
Please describe the different forms of noni juice. I know that there are more than just one.
Well, there are two. There's the original formula that is blended with blueberry and raspberry. It is a wonderful product, which is the one Elaine is using. And we have another one called Island Style. And this stuff is a bit stronger. And it's designed for people who have some serious problems. But if you're not in a serious problem, you probably want to be ready. It's a great tasting product.
And again, folks, you can get it at TahitiTrader.com, TahitiTrader.com, or finer health food stores nationwide, including GNC, Sprouts, and many others, or call 800-842-5309. Larry, how much can the average listener expect to pay for noni juice?
It depends on where you go, but at GNC, it's like $20. You can go to Vitamin Shop. It might be a few dollars extra. Maybe the same at Sprouts, about the same price in the middle 30s. It's a very reasonably priced.
Mm-hmm. I think it is, especially when you consider it your health, which is priceless. And I know some people often cringe when they find out how much their pharmaceutical drugs are costing them, not just in terms of their pocketbook, but the adverse side effect potential risks of taking them. It all works out. We're so glad you joined us today, Larry, to talk about how to better manage hypertension and high blood pressure, really focusing in on the Tahiti Trader Noni Juice. We appreciate you coming by and look forward to having you on the show in the very near future, sir.
Thank you so much for having me today, Dr. Bob. I always enjoy sharing these stories.
Appreciate you being here. All right, TahitiTrader.com or finer health food stores nationwide.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Made Easy podcast. I appreciate you being here today. Stay informed and take control of your health. Follow us on social media for more tips and visit TahitiTrader.com to explore how noni juice can support your wellness journey. And we'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day.